momentum, carried right through Gainbridge today. When you start
highly difficult games.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Pacers.
I think it's as good as we've seen all year.
And ahead now to Siakam and the dunk.
Now the Bucks are a little bit shell-shocked. Pacers get
another Milwaukee turnover. Lay in by Mathurin.
Led by Siakam in that fast break. TJ calling.
What if I told you the most disruptive strategy in the NBA didn't come from a superstar, but from a team that weaponized the most ignored part of the game? In 2025, the Indiana Pacers didn't just win, they created pure chaos. And it all started the second the ball went through their own hoop. This wasn't a story about one guy bending the league to his will. It was about a perfectly engineered system of offense and defense working in such perfect harmony that it left opponents gassed, confused, and completely broken. This is the story of the high-speed offense and suffocating pressure that fueled a historic playoff run and pushed the Indiana Pacers to the very brink of a title. You have to understand what everyone else was doing. The modern NBA, for all its talk about pace and space, had gotten into a comfortable rhythm. Most offenses revolved around one superstar, who'd start a pick and roll 30 feet from the basket. The math was simple: get a layup or a three. Teams wanted floor spacing so badly that you'd see 4 guys just standing around the arc, waiting for something to happen. The result? Offensive numbers went through the roof, but the game itself started to feel a little stale. You were seeing the same plays, the same reads, and the same shots from almost every team. Defenses, naturally, came up with specific ways to counter this. The most popular scheme was drop coverage, where the big man hangs back to protect the rim, basically daring the other team to take a mid-range jumper. Other teams would go with switch-everything schemes to avoid mismatches. It was a chess match for sure, but everyone was playing on the same board. There was a predictable flow to it. One team runs its offense, they score or miss, and then they jog back on defense while the other team sets up its own attack. There was this unspoken rule between teams: after a made basket, we all reset. The offense takes a breath, inbounds the ball, and casually walks it up the court. This little moment was the most predictable part of the game. It was a gentleman's agreement. And that was the exact moment the Pacers decided to light on fire. The Pacers' 2025 playoff run was built on shredding that gentleman's agreement. Their whole philosophy was to destroy the half-court game and turn all 48 minutes into a frantic sprint. It was built on 2 connected ideas that just fed into each other, creating a relentless loop of pressure. Pillar 1. The continuous motion offense. First up, the offense. While other teams used pace to get into their plays faster, for the Pacers, the pace was the play. It was a non-stop storm of movement, passing, and cutting. Unlike those offenses that relied on one guy to create everything, Indiana's attack was unpredictable because anyone could score. This was all orchestrated by Tyrese Halliburton, a genius whose real gift wasn't just his own scoring, but his ability to make everyone around him better. He was the engine of the whole system, finishing among the league leaders in assists throughout the playoffs. Their style blended modern spacing with old-school motion. Players never just stood still. They were constantly cutting, flaring off screens, and the ball rarely stuck in anyone's hands for more than a second. It wasn't just about running fast, it was about thinking fast. The plan was to make the defense make a dozen tiny decisions every possession, knowing that sooner or later, they'd crack. This unselfishness was their superpower. One night, the back-breaking threes might come from Miles Turner, the next from Aaron Nesmith or Obi Toppin. You couldn't just key in on 1 or 2 guys, because the threat came from everywhere. This created an offense that was a nightmare to defend, but what they did after scoring is what really broke teams. Pillar 2. The suffocating transition defense. This is where it all clicks. This is the strategy that nearly broke the NBA. The Pacers' defense didn't start when the other team crossed half-court. It started the instant the ball went through their own net. While most teams would pat each other on the back after a bucket and jog back, the Pacers used their own scores as a trigger. They immediately applied pressure on the inbounder, disrupting the opponent's attempt to even start their offense. They turned the most relaxed moment in basketball into a total pressure cooker. This had a domino effect. First, it created turnovers in the backcourt, which led to instant, easy points for the Pacers. Those are the kind of free points that just crush an opponent's spirit. Second, even if it didn't cause a turnover, the pressure completely wrecked their offensive rhythm. By the time the other team got across half court, The shot clock was already down to 16 or 15 seconds. They had no time to run their fancy plays and were forced into rushed, bad shots. This strategy flipped the entire game on its head. The Pacers' offense was built to score fast, and their defense was built to use that score to create another advantage. It was a feedback loop. A quick basket led to pressure, which led to a stop or a turnover, which led right back to another quick basket. Teams that were used to the calm, steady rhythm of the NBA were suddenly thrown into a 48-minute fire drill, and they just couldn't hang. The proof of this system's power was written all over the 2025 playoffs. The Pacers became known for their shocking comebacks, erasing large deficits so quickly it felt like an illusion. These weren't slow, grinding comebacks. They were avalanches. A 15-point lead, which feels safe against anyone else, felt like nothing against Indiana. You could see it happen in real time. A couple of quick Pacers baskets would trigger their pressure, leading to a turnover, another easy score, and suddenly a double-digit lead would vanish in 2 minutes. Opposing coaches would call timeout, but how do you prepare for that kind of chaos in practice? You can't. The finals were the ultimate test of this strategy. Facing a heavily favored opponent, the Pacers showed their resilience time and again. In moments where they found themselves in a deep hole, the system would kick into high gear. They'd unleash a barrage of timely threes in the fourth quarter, with a constant defensive pressure forcing key mistakes. They could flip the momentum of a game in a flash, turning a potential blowout into a nail-biter. Resilience wasn't just a personality trait for this team, it was baked into their strategy. They knew that no matter how far down they were, their system could generate points in bunches and completely snatch the momentum. After sloppy first halves, Coach Rick Carlisle would make adjustments, and the team would come out executing with terrifying precision when it mattered most. At the heart of this chaotic, yet disciplined, system was Tyrese Haliburton. Throughout their 23-game playoff run, he was the calm in the storm, averaging around 17 points and a team-high 8.6 assists. He was that rare kind of leader whose impact wasn't just in his own stats, but in how he made the entire system hum. His poise, especially during those wild comebacks, was the glue that held the team together. But Haliburton's leadership was truly tested in the finals. After suffering a painful calf strain in Game 5, most people thought his season was over. It looked like the physical toll of their high-speed style had finally caught up to their leader at the worst possible time. And yet, in a moment that defined the team's entire run, Haliburton refused to sit. He came back for a must-win Game 6, playing through obvious pain. He still managed to put up 14 points, 5 assists, and 2 huge steals, gutting out a performance that lit a fire under his whole team and helped force a deciding Game 7. His willingness to play through a major injury was the physical proof of the resilience their strategy was built on. He wasn't just the guy running the system. He was the ultimate embodiment of it, relentless, tough, and always willing to push past the limit.